Good morning, you guys.
Breaking
Whoa.
overnight, just before 4 this morning, Vice President Mike Pence announced
Hold
the
on.
outcome of the Electoral College vote.
Joe Biden and Kamala.
So, I was reading the news or watching the news. I've been up for quite some time, but I'm just utterly shocked about what's going on in D.C. and I really don't have any words to express, but I do have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of feelings. I have professional opinions, and they all go down kind of a different rabbit hole. I don't like to get political on my page. I don't like to entice any dogma. I don't like to state my opinions when it comes to politics, money, or religion. But it is my country too, and it's very important to me that people understand what is going on in D.C. Shortly before summertime, we had the BLM movement, and they were down there, and they were setting fires to our Capitol and everything. And as of last night, people were storming the Capitol because they're upset with the election, or they're upset with their emotions, or the media, or the police. Everyone has a reason to be upset. And it's very easy to demonize people. It's very easy to be cynical about people. It's very easy to try to think if two people don't have seeing eye to eye. It's almost to be like, if you guys don't see eye to eye, then you somehow hate each other, or you're fearful of those people. And there's no reason to be fearful, but you should be intimidated by the media because they propagate a lot of this. And not only do they propagate it, they also perpetuate it. So if something seems to be small and they want to make it big, they just amplify it and they just start pounding it down your throats. And there's been lots of studies. It was I think it was a Russian study where they taught if you say enough things enough time, I think it's about 2 months, 60 days, if you're pushed and forced to think something for 60 days, at some point you just start believing it because you just keep hearing it over and over and over and over and over. And that's how programs work, and that's how media works, and that's how the news likes to get their viewpoints across. There was a time when we used to watch the news at the end of the day, and we would turn it on and we'd watch it for like 10 minutes, and you'd get the stories from the day, and you could be all caught up. It's not like that anymore. It's more like they tell you a story, and now you have to believe whether it's true or not, because there's so much of it that I am getting confused with what I'm supposed to think and what I'm supposed to feel. I know the country is going to hell in a handbag, and I'm not too worried about that because I've been preparing for a long time for that. And by no means would I ever want the country to go down. But what I would like people to do is start seeing, just looking out their window and, looking at their neighbors, and do you see any of this stuff going on? It almost seems like it's just like, it's a bad reality TV show with these people. And I don't know whether they get off on this stuff, inciting fear, and, because when the government screws something up, the only thing that their answer is we need more government. We need more power. We need more control, because otherwise this stuff is going to keep happening. No, this stuff keeps happening because they make it happen. Washington, D.C. is supposed to be one of the most heavily guarded places in the entire world. I mean, it's beyond Fort Knox. I mean, it seems too fake. And I don't want to say the news is fake, and I don't want to say what's going on, like people didn't get killed. I don't want to say anything like that because it's not true. But I do want to say that it just seems really odd to me that people can just walk up to the White House and do whatever they want. It's like they open the doors or something. And I wasn't down there, so I can't say for fact or for fiction if is that exactly what happened. They'll show you pictures of people taking pictures with, like the Proud Boys, and police taking pictures with, so it's almost like they opened the gates for it, right? And it's just, I don't know what to think about it. I have my own opinions, but, as I flip through these pages of different news, I like all sorts of different news, but I mainly get my news about the United States from BBC or Australian news outlets, because it's not pushing you in one direction to think one thing or the other. And that's one thing I like about watching news from other countries, because I kind of get a perspective of what they think about us. And we're just a laughing stock of the world right now. America is beating up America, while America sits around and watch it happen, And whether you want to be a Democrat or whether you want to be a Republican, it makes no difference to me. Whether you want to be a libertarian, it doesn't matter either. What you should be doing is writing letters to your senators, writing letters to the lawmakers, and letting them know that you're not going to tolerate this stuff. I don't want to tolerate violence. I wish they would, every single border would just drop. I wish every single person, every single leader, every single elite out there, if you're invading, if you're in another country, there's no reason for you to be there. You should be protecting your own country. So like, if everyone just lay down their arms, there would be no reason for us to fight. And it comes down to, how you feel about the world. I think that spending, $800 billion or $900 billion on weapons and military is completely unnecessary, when, teachers these days are going out and buying own supplies for their students because they have such a strong compassion for learning and teaching. Like, why can't we use any of that funding for growing? Because they don't want people to grow. They don't want people to be smart. They want people to be scared. They constantly want people to be scared, because if you're scared, you consume more, and then you'll stay in your house, and people like to live comfortable. That's it. They don't want to be disciplined. For the most part, we all just want to be left alone. We don't want to be pushed around, but we are pushed around every day. If we have learned anything from 2020, is how much our government can't hold water, how much our healthcare system can't hold water. Like, the only thing that 2020 taught me is how manipulated we are, and how much the government gets away with their tyranny is what it is to me, because it's like a war on the people, It doesn't matter who's in office. We all know that whoever's in office, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, they're shaking hands behind closed doors. It's a two-headed snake. And it's one of those things where, like, if they keep us divided, then we're always going to be fighting each other and not looking at the main enemy. And you can say the enemy is the media. You can say the enemy is the government. A lot of people think the government is out there to do the best for you, but if they were doing the best for you, wouldn't we all have the best? Think about 8,000 children go starving every single day, right? And that's not because any other reason except people want kids to starve. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, because why build bombs? Why build military to protect us from what? No, like, they want people to starve. Think about it. 8,000 children go starving every single day. Why? What's the cure? What's the cure for starvation? It's food, right? There's plenty of food. There's food every day. People can go get food. No, not for everybody. Sometimes food is very hard to come by. Sometimes in our own country, people don't get a healthy meal, And if you want to say that anger, if you want to say homelessness, joblessness is the problem, like, you have to really know and recognize that those are just symptoms of the actual manifesting problem that is underlying. So when I look at the news, I don't see any good stories anymore. I don't see anything. I could flip through these pages, whatever channel you want to watch, I don't see any good news anymore. I have to really hunt for good news. And to me, that's a big, big problem. I shouldn't have to look for good news. If they want to keep the stories at 50-50, I would be happy with that. Here's 50 bad stories and here's 50 good stories, and I would be completely content with that. But it's like 100% of the stories, like, you don't ever get anything good out of this news anymore. And all that is doing to people is making them scared. It is making them, you know, house-ridden where they don't want to go out. They're judging other people like before they even meet them. Like, it's one of those things that they already project their ideas because they're told what to think. That's not fair to us. And
Kamala Harris will be the next president and vice president and will take the oath of office.
Good for you. I'm really happy for whoever's in office, but I just see you as a stupid puppet. And I think the last really good president was Abraham Lincoln. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, somebody that was actually doing something for like the actual country. Like, I don't feel that there's these people. They're lobbyists. That's all they are. They get paid money to push bills and more things that make money for bigger corporations and, you know, conglomerates that are underneath that. And it's really unfair, and it's actually the driving force of the United States going to hell in a handbag. I don't want to live in this country for much longer if it keeps up like this, you know? I'm not going to be one to tell people what to do, but I'm telling you how I feel. You know, I want to move somewhere like Iceland or something where it's, you know, they don't have a military. Who cares, you know? Everyone can defend themselves if you need to defend yourself. But I don't want to be a part of, as an American, I am a part of this because I live here, you know? And I see it every day, day in and day out. I can look at it with a loving indifference, which an indifference is kind of a cynical way to say it because, you know, you just don't care. But it's a loving indifference, you know? I can look at it and it can go past, it can flow through me, and it doesn't affect me. But when it starts affecting me is when I see it start affecting, you know, the people that I love and care about and their decision-making skills, you know, like, and, you know, like my friends too, like, you know, we don't all have the same ideas, and that's what makes us so great, you know? We're supposed to share ideas, we're supposed to build off each other's idea, we're supposed to take the best of both worlds, you know? I'm not going to say that being a liberal is being better than being a Democrat, liberal is being better than a Republican, because there's no better side. Both sides offer just great opportunity, but there's no way that we'll ever have, you know, we need two presidents in office at all times. If you guys want to keep it a two-party system, I think we should have two presidents, not a president and a vice president. You should have not the guys that are your friends and that you play golf with. Like, those are the people that are supposed to be backing you up. We should have two presidents, and it should be bipartisan, and they are forced to work together. You know why that won't ever work? Because people don't want to work together. They want their ideas to be pushed through. They want their sense of, I guess, their sense of, it's not reality, their mental state, what they think, and their perception is always right. And it's not that way. And I know we're supposed to have these checks and balances with like our three different parts of the government, but we don't do that. Like, if you have a Republican in office, then they want the Senate and they want Congress. They want everyone else to be Republican. It's one of those things where there needs to be an entire change of how the United States government works, because what they say works, it doesn't work for me, and I'm sorry. And I don't consider myself an anarchist. I don't consider myself a radical, and by any means. But I don't acknowledge the authority of the United States government, and that doesn't make me a bad person. I still follow the laws. It just means I just don't acknowledge them. And I hope that when you look at the news today and you see all this crap going down in DC, don't think it's because of anything other than people that are disgruntled and sick of watching crap happening. You know, like, even in before summertime, you know, like the BLM, we were burning down, you know, riots and stuff in DC, and that's when they were calling it a peaceful protest. And now we're doing it for, not we, the people are doing it for Trump, and now it's considered hateful riots, you know, but it's the same exact thing that was going on. So you have to see that the manipulation is right there in front of you, and that you still have your own opinion to make of whatever you want. So I think you guys clearly know what I'm saying, that the government is bullshit, and they need a change. If I was in office, I could I could do more in 30 days than these guys could do in 4 years. I know it needs to be done, and we need to lay down our arms, and we need to come back to our every base every American base needs to like close up shop and come home and be part of our country and grow our country. And that's what the government should be used for, to protect our country. You can't say that we have we have thousands of bases outside of the United States and we're doing that over because we're protecting. No, the only thing that they're protecting over there is like freaking heroin and poppy fields, and they're bringing, I mean, after Afghanistan, I mean, we had this huge blow up of heroin and opiates in the United States. It doesn't take people, I don't think it only takes a little bit of thought to realize what's going on in the world. And they've been using the same propaganda since long before like the 1800s. It's the same crap. It's just said in a different way. And the problem with social media was, back in the day, they only had like, you know, radio and newspaper and, you know, the news to like cycle information. Well, now they have a constant feedback loop with social media. As soon as you like something, as soon as you comment on something, like they know, they're already like jacked into your mind, and they'll be like, and there's nothing but arguments online. And it's one of the things, I'm a troll, so a lot of the times I'm perpetuating a lot of it, but it gets to people, and it gets under their skin, and it gets them to think. People don't like to be told that what they think is incorrect. Actually, they don't like to be told that they're wrong either. So people have this mentality of everything is dual. So like, you know, right or wrong. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's good. If it's wrong, it's bad. No, it's not like that. If it's right, it means that there's probably a lot of good corrections. And if it's wrong, there's a lot of incorrections and it needs to be made. But people think that wrong is bad, and if you disagree with somebody, that you're just hateful on them or you're fearful of them, and that's not true. And I just want you guys, when you're looking at the news, to think about how you feel about these things. Think about what is doing to your communities. You know, like the next generation is not going to be able to see malls. I loved growing up in malls. I love going and walking around and seeing all the different shops and even if I didn't have any money, I would go to the malls to, you know, people watch and you know, look at stuff that I'm gonna buy when I do get my next check, you know. And nowadays it's like everything is on your screen. People don't need to leave anymore, and it's making people mad. Like, not mad like angry, like mad like crazy. And if we didn't learn that 2020 was a bad year for the entire world, 2021 is going to be even worse if we don't learn from those corrections. So just something to think about. The news was making me a little upset, so I feel like I needed to come on here and rant about it and vent a little. But yeah, that's all I'm saying. And, you know, can't wait for Joe to be, you know, inaugurated, and we'll see what happens from there, because make no mistake that since even before Obama, hate has been priming in this country, and it's been split in half. So it's time not to be angry anymore. It's time to embrace your brother, embrace your neighbor, embrace those who think differently from you, and thank God that we don't all think the same, because if we did, we'd be in a lot more trouble than we already are.